3 days. That is how long Marcus had been gone. 3 days since he walked into the woods to check the hunting trap. 3 days since he did not come back for dinner. 3 days since his sleeping bag sat cold and flat inside the cabin. Ryan and Daniel did not want to say the word dead, so they did not say it. They said lost. They said maybe he found shelter somewhere. They said he is tough, he knows these woods. But deep inside they both knew. Nobody survived 3 nights in these mountains in January. Not without fire, not without food. The temperature dropped to -20 after dark. The wind came down from the peaks like something alive and angry. They were 4 hours from the nearest town. No phone signal. The snowmobile had a broken belt. They had 2 options, wait or search. On the morning of the 4th day, they chose to search. Ryan packed a rope, a flashlight and a knife. Daniel packed water and a first aid kit. They did not talk much as they put on their boots. What was there to say? They were looking for a body. They both knew it. They just did not want to be the one to say it first. The forest was quiet in a way that felt wrong. No birds, no wind, just the soft crunch of their boots in deep snow and the white fog of their breath in the cold air. They called Marcus's name every few minutes. Nothing called back. They found him 2 miles from the cabin. He was sitting against a pine tree. His back was straight against the bark. His legs were stretched out in front of him, crossed at the ankle, like he was resting, like he had just sat down for a moment and fallen asleep. Except his skin was the color of old wax, except his lips were blue, except he was smiling, not a small smile. Not the kind of smile you make when something is a little bit funny. This was a wide, open smile. All his teeth showed. His eyes were open too, and they were pointed up at the sky between the tree branches, like he had seen something wonderful right before he died. Ryan stood very still. He felt cold in a way that had nothing to do with the temperature. "What is he smiling at?" Daniel said softly. Ryan did not answer. He walked closer. He reached out and touched Marcus's shoulder. The body was stiff and frozen solid. He had been dead for at least 2 days. "We have to bring him back," Ryan said. "We can't leave him out here." Daniel nodded slowly. He was still looking at the smile. "Why is he smiling like that?" "I don't know. It's what faces do sometimes. When people freeze, the muscles—" Ryan stopped. He did not actually know if that was true. He just needed it to be true. They did not have a stretcher, so they each took one side. Ryan held him under the arms. Daniel lifted his legs. They began the long walk back through the snow. The body was heavy. That made sense. Marcus had been a big man. But after 10 minutes, Ryan noticed something. He stopped walking. "Put him down for a second," he said. They set the body in the snow. Ryan straightened up and pressed his hands against his lower back. "He feels heavier," Ryan said. Daniel looked at him. "What?" "He feels heavier than he did when we picked him up." Daniel shook his head. "You're tired. We've been walking." "I know what tired feels like. This is different." They looked at the body. The smile had not changed. The eyes were still open, still pointed upward. Everything was the same. They picked him up again and kept walking, but Ryan kept thinking about it. The weight, the way it seemed to grow with every step. By the time they were a mile from the cabin, Marcus felt twice as heavy as a frozen man should. Ryan's arms were shaking. His legs felt like wet sand. He told himself it was exhaustion. He told himself he was imagining things. He did not believe himself. They got Marcus inside and set him on the floor near the far wall. Ryan made coffee. Daniel sat at the table and stared at his hands. Neither of them looked at the body for a while. The cabin was warm, but it did not feel warm. The light from the lantern was yellow and shaking. "We leave tomorrow morning," Ryan said. "We walk out. We find help." "What about Marcus?" "We lock the cabin. We come back with the authorities." Daniel nodded. He looked at Marcus, then looked away. "Do you think he was scared? At the end?" "The smile," Ryan said quietly. "No, I don't think he was scared." "That bothers me more," Daniel said. Ryan understood. He sat down across from Daniel and wrapped both hands around his coffee cup. He wanted to think about something simple. The heat of the cup, the smell of the coffee, normal things, real things. Then he heard it, a sound from across the room, very quiet, like a slow, deep breath. Both of them looked up at the same time. Marcus was on the floor near the wall where they had set him. His eyes were still open, his smile was still there. He had not moved. But the sound came again, a breath, long and slow like someone sleeping. "That's just the cabin settling," Daniel said. His voice was not steady. "Cabins don't breathe," Ryan said. They sat without moving for a long time. The lantern light moved on the walls. Outside, the wind had started. It pressed against the windows like it wanted in. The breathing sound did not come again, but neither of them slept that night. They sat at the table with the lantern between them, and they watched the body in the corner, and they waited for morning. At 3 a.m, Ryan stood up to use the bathroom. He walked past Marcus. He stopped. He looked down. The body had shifted, not much, maybe 2 inches. One hand, which had been flat on the floor, was now resting against the wall. The fingers were pointing upward. Ryan did not breathe. He looked at the hand for a very long time. Then he looked at the face, the smile, the open eyes. He walked back to the table very carefully, like any quick movement might cause something terrible to happen. "Daniel," he said. Daniel looked up. "We need to leave right now, not in the morning, now." Daniel looked past him at Marcus. He saw the hand against the wall. He stood up without a word and reached for his coat. They packed in 90 seconds. Ryan grabbed the rope and the flashlight and the knife. Daniel grabbed the water. They did not look at the body again. Ryan opened the cabin door, and the cold hit them like a wall. But it felt cleaner than the air inside, so neither of them complained. They were 3 steps outside when Daniel stopped. Ryan stopped walking. "Look at the window." Ryan looked. Marcus was at the window, standing. His forehead was pressed against the glass. His eyes were open and looking directly at them, and he was smiling. The same wide, full-teeth smile from the forest. The same smile from when he was frozen against the tree. But his chest was moving, up and down, slow and steady. He was breathing. Ryan grabbed Daniel's arm and they ran. The snow was deep and their legs burned within the first minute, but neither of them slowed down. Ryan heard the cabin door open behind them. Just once. A soft sound, almost gentle, like someone stepping out for a morning walk. He did not look back. He would never look back. They made it to the road after 2.5 hours. A truck driver found them just after sunrise, standing in the middle of the highway, waving their arms. The driver later said that both men looked like they had seen something that had broken a part of them that could not be fixed. The police went to the cabin 3 days later. They found the door open. They found 2 coffee cups on the table, a burned-down lantern, boot prints in the snow going toward the tree line. They did not find Marcus. What they found instead was a single trail of footprints leading from the cabin into the deep forest. The footprints were strange because they started normal, 2 feet, the right size for a grown man. But after 50 yards, the stride grew longer, much longer. The spacing between the prints became wider and wider until, near the edge of the trees, each print was nearly 6 feet apart. And then they stopped, just stopped, in the middle of the snow, no sign of where the person had gone, no broken branches, no disturbance in the snow on either side. Just prints, and then nothing. The police closed the case after 2 months. Marcus was listed as missing, presumed dead. The cause was ruled as exposure to extreme cold. Ryan and Daniel both moved far from that town. They never spoke to each other again. Some people say it was grief. Some people say they had some kind of falling out. But if you asked Ryan, if you found him, and you sat down with him, and you waited long enough, he would eventually say one thing. He would say that the worst part was not the smiling face at the window. The worst part was the weight, the way the body had grown heavier with every step back through the snow. Like something had been climbing inside, slowly, quietly, inch by inch, filling up the empty spaces, getting comfortable, getting warm. Like it had been waiting in those woods for a very long time, and Marcus had just been the door. If you made it to the end, don't go into the woods alone, and if you find someone frozen and smiling, leave them where they are.